Hello, my name is Michael Pinchera. I'm here to talk about the three Zodiacs. And well, we normally talk about one Zodiac, right? But today I'm addressing three Zodiacs, at least from one perspective. The first Zodiac is of the fixed star constellations. Having a problem with my slides. There we go. These are the images. These are actually the constellations we see in the sky, right? And these are images, if you will, of the spiritual archetypes behind everything that exists. And these emanate from deep cosmic space, far beyond the boundaries of our solar system, and lives behind everything that exists. It is, in a sense, much older, wiser, if you will, and more all-embracing than just our home system. In ancient Persian cosmology, the all-father being, Zarwana Akarana, which is possibly the oldest root of the word zodiac, gathers in himself the spiritual being of the whole zodiac. Zarwana Akarana, also called Zervan Akarano, the unlimited or uncreated time, and is at the same time the supreme and primordial deity. Zervan's children are the twins Ahura Mazda, the god of light, and Angri Mainyu, or Ahriman, the spirit of darkness. There are 12 spiritual powers, the Amshaspans, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, work in it, of which 7 lean towards the light side and 5 towards the dark side. Thus, the all-encompassing spirit is working through the astral realm. The second zodiac is the one of the signs or divisions of the ecliptic, and is based on the seasonal rhythms of the earth. And here we find the cosmic spirit manifesting as the cosmic life cycles, right, working into the earth. And we can regard these life cycles as etheric or life body of our planet, in whom the greater cosmos manifests or reflects itself as life and all its potentiality, yeah? The third zodiac consists of the divisions around the north-south axis of any locality. These astrological houses take us right down to physical earth reality and are based on the physical geographic location and time of an earthly event, such as a birth, right? When we relate the sun, moon, and planets and other bodies to this, we can recognize a world in which cosmic impulses are in seeming contrast to the physical sphere. However, amongst all earthly beings, the human being has the potential to consciously build bridges between the spirit of the cosmos and the inescapable necessities and requirements of physical earth life. These three zodiacs give us a picture of how pure spirit creates, manifests, sustains, and destroys on every level of existence. And it can be recognized that the second zodiac of signs and the third zodiac of houses, they're often held to be the same, right? But I would rather say that they are different manifestations or projections of the sublime spirit behind them, all interweaving in each other and reflecting each other's qualities. Yet each one has its own purpose, right? And you'll find these same dynamics living in the nervous system, the respiratory circulatory system, and metabolic systems of the human body. They all interwork within each other, yet each has its own function. In astrology, we are basically reading the threads and tapestry of karma. In a very simplistic way, we can say that the first zodiac of the starry constellations is the spiritual life, the thoughts, or the why, while the second zodiac, of the constellations of signs, is an earth-centered reflection of this why in life and time, and the sun, moon, and planets and other bodies as the feeling aspects of who and how as they move across the physicality of the where and what of the third zodiac of the houses. The interweaving workings of these spheres into each other gives us the incredibly complex yet decipherable language of astrology. Keeping all this in mind, I'll now bring up the precession of the vernal equinox. The Earth's axis tilts approximately 23.5 degrees in relation to the ecliptic. The equinoxes occur when the Earth's axis is almost perpendicular to the sun. The gravitational effects that the sun, moon, and other planets have upon the Earth cause the Earth's rotational axis to sway clockwise in a slow circular motion. Historically, this motion of the Earth's axis gives rise to the equinoxes, moving westward along the ecliptic. And this is all relative to the fixed stars. Now, the time it takes the axis to make one complete swing around to its original point is 25,920 years. It also takes the sun 25,920 years to move through all the constellations of the zodiac, making what's called a Platonic year. The apparent position of the sun relative to the backdrop of the fixed stars at the seasonally fixed time of the vernal equinox moves from one zodiacal constellation to another every approximately 2,160 years. And this period is known as an astrological age or called epoch. Archetypically speaking, a human individuality incarnates twice, approximately 1,080 years apart during a cultural age, one female and one male. Though there are karmic and evolutionary reasons for individual timing, sequence is not to be rigidly held onto, right? But this will take us to another talk beyond this one. The precession of the vernal equinox slowly regresses about 0.014 degrees every year, or approximately 1 degree every 72 years. And this results in the difference of roughly 20 minutes between sidereal and tropical years. The movement equates to the 72-year average lifespan of a human being. The average human heart rate is 72 beats per minute, or 4,320 beats per hour. Now, heartbeat is made up of the contractive systole and the relaxed dilation of the diastole. And each approximate half, or 2,160, occurs every hour. The human life, therefore, can be imaginatively seen as one cosmic heartbeat. And the systole and diastole relate to the average number of incarnations in one cultural age. The incarnations can also be seen as one cosmic breath. And this is reflected in the human average respiratory rate of 18 breaths per minute, or 1,080 breaths per hour. And this leads us to 25,920 breaths per day. On another note, whether conscious or not, it's not an uncommon perception, especially in the so-called New Age community, that our life here on Earth and everything earthly around us is a lower vibration or lower something or other than the spiritual world, and is rained upon by planetary and cosmic rays or energies. In our current age, we're called to conceive and feel that the workings of spiritual beings are in all things, in different ways and for different purposes. And this points to the concept of energies to be an injustice. Instead, I believe consciousness is closer to the reality. Well, let's go back to the differences between the sidereal and tropical positions. When the tropical zodiac was developed by Ptolemy back in the 3rd century BC, the sidereal vernal equinox was in Aries about 2,000 years ago. Both sidereal and tropical figurations were identical. At that time, the vernal point was fixed at that point by the tropical astrologers. Since then, the precession of the equinox has been regressing through the zodiac. Today, the sidereal and tropical points are determined to differ from each other by approximately 23, 24 degrees. This separation will continue to culminate and wane until the astronomical vernal equinox comes back to Aries in approximately 25,920 years to where it was in the constellation of Aries back 2,000 years ago. Now, there's much debate and disagreement about which system is better, if not more true. And I found that there are merits in both systems. However, I would like to add something that is beyond an either-or view. We can look at this difference as a manifestation of cosmic will and the evolutionary and karmic necessities involved in how humanity has evolved from a state of having a dreamy, you could say, instinctual spiritual life and awareness of spiritual beings, then slowly growing more and more separate from the spiritual world until being immersed in a purely materialistic understanding of itself and the world, then developing the means for attaining awareness of spiritual realities again, but consciously, as being a spirit amongst other spirits. And with growing individual freedom and responsibility for one's own self-development and love towards all beings. Just as the ancient Persians saw Zarawana Akarana encompassing the whole of the zodiac of the fixed star constellations and these cosmic spiritual archetypes working in the astral, into the life processes, right down into physicality, we can see how the human being is a manifestation of what is called the cosmic man, the spiritually pure Adam Kadmon, or the archetypal human being, which is another way of saying made in the image of God. But this is not a static state, nor one to be returned to, but one to recognize and evolve towards consciously, for we are called to become co-creative gods. And so this is the end of my presentation. And so if there's anything, any questions or anything, please send them to me. Or if there's anyone here today has a question, we can definitely converse further.
Thank you, Michael. While everybody's thinking, I will say that's all really interesting. And I just, you know, makes you kind of go, how does it all fit together?
Yeah, exactly. It's that type of thing. I mean, I know that there'd be a lot of, well, not only questions, but a lot of, like, wait a minute, what was he talking about? The two incarnations for cultural talk, because, I mean, there's been a lot of, a lot of people already know for themselves, and also there's enough information out there, people incarnating more often than that, right? As I mentioned, I tried to address it, that there's all kinds of, karmic reasons, necessities for this sort of thing. So just these archetypal timings is just something to work from.
Yeah, those are interesting. And so where do those numbers come from? Maybe you could speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah. There are actually different people who have worked with this. I'm mainly connected with Rudolf Steiner and his anthroposophy. And he talks a lot. I mean, there are many. He has many sources where he addresses this in his lectures and a couple of his books. But in I don't know. There's a lot. It's mainly. Most of it is mainly in Western esotericism, though, if you look back to Sri Yukteswar, there are things that are connected.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I was wondering if Robin had anything to say or debunk or anything.
No, but it was very interesting.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, I'm glad.
I like the correlations.
Yeah, yeah. It is fascinating. It's hard
yeah,
not to take notice.
I always love it when numbers, kind of overlap and they have, correlations in two different realms.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, numbers are tricky because, they're numbers and you don't want to get too rigid about it, but sometimes they just, are kind of glaring, and can't help but notice.
Yeah. Left brain to right brain.
Right.
Shows exactly. Everything is all tied in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate being a part of this, and thank you, Sue and Robin, for all that you do.
Well, thank you, Michael, and we look forward to your next presentation.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
And this will be then recorded and put on YouTube or whatever on the site.
Yes.
It will.
Okay. Well, great.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a very good night.